The one thing I've been thinking about as we're talking is about how to spend time on things that light you up, how to surround yourself with things that bring you energy and excitement and happiness. And so thinking about, the idea that what you surround yourself with, the people, the things, the information, the practices are ultimately what influences how you experience your world, your days.
Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hi, Keith.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
So one thing we often do in our morning is talk about things that we're reading or listening to. So thinking about the books we read, the music we listen to and get excited about. What's one thing that you're listening to or reading?
So I'm going to start with the easiest thing because I'm enjoying it so much. I'm listening to Hail Mary by Andy Weir. He did The Martian.
Oh, okay.
Hail Mary. Project Hail Mary. Oh, I said it wrong. Oh, no. We're going to have to restart the whole podcast.
Nope.
It's called Project Hail Mary. The project's printed really, really small on the cover. It's Project and then Hail Mary.
Got it.
It's the name of the ship. And the name of like the mission is Project. It's Project Hail Mary. Like we are trying to save the Earth. And I've already listened to it. So that's what I was listening to last night when you were coming and sitting down and waiting for the canning to get done.
Oh, sure.
And so like I was like smiling and like giggling like to myself with like my AirPods in just because I was listening to that book. And it's about a middle school science teacher who finds himself with kind of short-term amnesia on a spaceship in a different solar system trying to save the world from space algae. So I've been listening to that for the last few days with the intention of, is this something our kids would like to listen to?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you've noticed me listening to it last night, but you're probably like, what is he doing with his AirPods in probably? And I was like, I'm listening to this book and I love it. It's so good. I mean, hot take. I think it's better than The Martian. And I love that.
I was going to say, you love like, The Martian. Margin?
The Margin. I don't like margin.
Martian.
I don't like margarine. I read The Martian and then I listened to The Martian and then I went and saw the movie The Martian. All great. Obviously the book's better than the movie, right? Come on, people. Matt Damon, you're the best though. It was good. I think it was a good adaptation for the screen. So I've been listening to that and it's fun and it's technical and all that stuff. So that's right away. That's what I got. Thoughts? Were you looking at me kind of funny? Like, you're like, what is going on? Why are you so excited about this book? You should listen to it. It's good.
No, I'm not. I don't think you should. I'm not thinking you shouldn't listen to the book. I just had no idea that you were listening to that.
Yeah.
You've been listening and toggling between 5 different perfection, how to begin, goal setting.
Oh, there's more
sort of books and things like that.
That's my fun book though, for like on my walks. And
I like that though.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we get too into the kind of nonfiction sort of books.
I do really hard. Most of the books, books I have are guitar building, guitar repair, making, design, and then nonfiction like John Green's The Anthropocene Reviewed, which Michael Bungay Stainer mentions the Anthropocene Reviewed in How to Begin. That's another book I read over the last few weeks.
I kind of feel like we need to take your corkboard and put all the books and how they're tied to each other on it.
Yeah.
Like, like a NYPD Blue or like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Like
that's more Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
And yeah, I have a 4. That's like a 4x6 corkboard that's sitting behind Laura in my studio. Okay. I mean, I have a whole...
I got you this corkboard.
Yeah, from the
old Pomida in town.
The mega store the box store that shut down way back when.
Oh yeah. My sister and I had to get a guy to bring it in his truck because we were going to bring it in the car, each holding a hand on each side of it. Because we only live about a mile away.
This is a mile.
Yeah, we thought, we'll just put it on top of the car and we can each hold a hand and drive. And somebody put it in their truck and brought it. That was nice of them.
Small town, Wisconsin.
You got it.
So I have a whole list of books that I could go through, but
I just asked you for one.
I know. We'll come back to more. What have you been reading or listening to?
So one book right now that I've been reading and I've been taking a little time every morning is a book called Energy Speaks by Lee Harris. And I am loving it. Absolutely loving it. So every morning I read a chapter or about half a chapter just to work my way through it.
Where'd you hear about that book?
I was like, Keith is making this motion with his hands. I'm like, I was going to say our friend Karen.
I know. I just want to make sure you.
Yeah. And so it's really good. It's resonating with me. It's making me feel really excited and empowered to make changes that I know make a lot of sense for me personally, and to try and leverage my energy and try and open myself up to what is possible in the universe. And so for me, it resonates. It aligns a lot with who I am and who I always have been. And so it really does help me reset myself and help put in place some good habits and mindfulness activities that really help center and make me feel positive. So I'm enjoying that.
You brought that book up and you said that it's like opening up possibility, right?
Right.
Or what did you say? And so that's going to lead me into another book I'm listening to, but a little slower. It's more kind of nonfiction, right? It's, as you know, which is it's like personal growth, right? And things like that, which is a lot more like my wheelhouse, or tends to be what I gravitate towards. And in a lot of the books that we mentioned in the second episode, right, where we're talking about Brene Brown and Simon Sinek and Stephen Pressfield and Seth Godin, and there's another one. So I tend to gravitate towards those type of self-improvement books, right? Or whatever. But in the same vein as you said, like opening up the possibility, a recommendation I got from the Purple Space community that I heard about before from Seth Godin, that he mentions it several times, was The Art of Possibility. Like I connect with it so much, and I'm like, I can't believe I haven't listened to it yet. But what's so interesting is that it's Rosamund Stone Zander and Benjamin Zander couple. And Ben Zander is a conductor of an orchestra.
Oh, yeah, you were talking
so
about
I
this
think I
the
mentioned
other
it to you before.
Right.
And so he's talking about like Wagner and all these, a few composers, and like using some of the music and some of his things. But the whole title, just the title itself, The Art of Possibility. And I'm not all the way through the book. I'm taking it kind of slow because I have several things I've been ingesting. But I think that's what makes like it's what pulls me towards a book like Energy Speaks or How to Begin, or we talked about before, Perfection. It's like propping me up to believe, yes, there's possibility. Go and do, So I thought it was really interesting. So that just popped in my head. I kind of forgot about it because I haven't listened to it for like a week. But anyway, you go ahead. What do you got? Do you have another book or another something you've been listening to, or?
Yeah, So this one is fiction. It's called A Death in Door County by Annalise Ryan.
Our Door County?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it's Door County, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And
it's on the opposite side of the state.
Right.
North of Green Bay.
Yeah. It's a book that I picked up in a really cute bookstore out in Washington when I was visiting my sister in Port Townsend, right?
Oh.
I know. I thought that was really neat.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so we were shopping one day in Port Townsend, and there's a cute little bookstore, and we walked in and we were looking around, and it was, how, I don't know, is it facing the book when it's just the cover is facing out instead of the spine?
Yeah.
Is that what facing?
Yeah, they're kind of like highlighting it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jenny and I both looked at it and we thought, A Death in Door County? Is this Door County, Wisconsin? And I picked it up and looked, I'm like, oh my goodness, it is. I'm like, I'm buying this.
Oh, geez.
But it's not, well.
It better be a murder mystery. Come on.
It's a murder mystery, but it is like a mythical murder mystery. So it's, okay, I won't do a spoiler alert. It's not like there's a murder on the loose that I think.
Are you still reading it?
I am. Okay. I'm only about halfway in, so I really have no idea who the murderer is. But so far, it's really, really good. My plan is to bring it with us when we go on our anniversary vacation. Maybe I can finish it about halfway
because
done.
We're going
We're going towards Door County.
Yeah.
We're going to be
So
in Green Bay.
So describe to people what Door County, like when you say Door County to a Wisconsinite, they know what we're talking about, but.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So Door County. So it's a county. It is like if you have.
You do your hand like
a mitten.
Like a mitten, like Wisconsin, right?
Yep. And so it's like your pinky finger, if you separate it from the rest of your fingers, that is Door County. Green Bay is in between your ring finger and your pinky. And then Door County is your pinky, except
peninsula that goes into Lake Michigan,
the
northeast side of Wisconsin.
Yes. Thank you for being.
and what is Door County known for and as is what I meant.
They're really known as, I would say, a tourist destination full of quaint little towns. For fish boils and wineries. They're known for their cherries, like tart cherries, phenomenal cherry pie, dried cherries. I love Door County. It's one of those, the leaves this time of year begin to change, and it's just beautiful because you have the bay on one side, you have Lake Michigan on the other side, and you can drive up one side and down the other. But I'm excited. I'm going to make Keith take me to a place called L. Johnson's in Sister Bay.
This is the first I've heard of this.
No.
What? I haven't been there, have I?
No. Yes, you were. We were there last year.
Is this the place with the goat?
Yeah, the
roofs?
Place. So
not goat roofs, grass roofs with goats on them. Okay. We played bags.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have these buildings that have grass on the roofs, and then they have goats to eat the grass because it's a Scandinavian kind of restaurant. But last time I got, gosh darn it, now I can't remember.
It's called Thor's Hammer.
Yes, Thor's Hammer. It was a shot of aquavit.
Clear your throat.
Sorry, I got the rasp going.
Just thinking about it got your throat raspy.
It did. It was a shot of aquavit, and then the chaser was pickled herring. It was fantastic. It was so good.
No. I wouldn't. I will and would never try that.
It was so delicious. It was so tasty. So I have on my anniversary weekend bucket list. Is it a bucket list or is it?
It's a wish list.
Wish list. There we go. I've already done it once, so then it's not on your bucket list.
It can be the 16th anniversary bucket list, but
yes,
hopefully there's more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, good.
No. So yes. So I'm excited. I want to do that, and there's some fun little wineries I'd like to go to, and I wouldn't mind getting some pie and going to Titletown Brewery and, doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
Get you to a Packer game. Mm-hmm. Going to the Super Bowl, Keith.
Oh,
it's true.
Let's hope so. Cautiously optimistic.
I'll take it.
So that was your book, your fiction book.
Yes. Let's move to music. I want to know what's one new album or artist that you've been listening to that you're really excited about.
New music is John Batiste, his new record, World Music Radio. Oh, I love it. It's so good. I love him so much. He is so good. And got the vinyl, and obviously you can, listen online to the album. And what I love is when music is a little challenging at first. It's so new, and it's so funny to me that new music can be a challenge to me still. When part of me wants to say, like, to myself, man, you know better. Don't prejudge. Just go in and just witness it. Just accept it. Let it come at you. And I did that, but I still had these feelings of like, what am I hearing? Like, what is this? And, oh, this is different. And it's so funny that my reaction to something different, even when it's music, is sometimes, I'm not sure about this. What? Oh, and it brings up the same thoughts again of like how much we love repetition and pattern. And so, and then like, in pop music, and it's not all very poppy. That's what I love about him, is that some of it's jazz, some of it's freeform, some of it's classical, and hence World Music Radio. There's you can hear themes from around the world. And like one of them, I'm like, I think I said to you, I'm like, doesn't this sound and kind of feel like it's a small world? I would rather listen to this on It's a Small World ride than the It's a Small World music. Like, I don't know if I specifically said that to you, but I was like, doesn't this sound like it could be on It's a Small World? And so my point is, it felt a little challenging at first, but after the second listen, I'm like, oh, I get, it's kind of a concept album a little bit. And I think I've been playing it a lot around the house, obviously, and I'm making you listen to it. So I'm loving it. It's good. It's worth a few listens or a buy if you're into it. So that's my number one pick right now of music. I'm not sure if I have any more, but I'll think.
The one that I'm really digging, and you introduced me to this artist, is LP. And so I really am loving LP's new album, Love Lines. So it hasn't all come out yet. There's only 4 of the songs on it out of 12. It'll be released on September 29th. So
did you look that up? Or,
it's on the Apple Music. You can see at the very bottom. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I am so excited because it's one of those, when you're introduced to an artist and then all of a sudden you start hearing or seeing them everywhere.
Yeah.
So
are you seeing them everywhere?
Well, no, but I mean, when I get in the car in the morning, I often have the current on.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking child 1 to school. And so often I'll hear LP on there, which is pretty exciting. But then I was on Friday night, we were just hanging out and child 1 wanted to talk a little bit about music. And he came in and was like, okay, so top 20 bands.
Yeah.
Go. Because I think he's trying to learn different types of music and different, like what to listen to. And so he knows one of my all-time favorites is Green Day. I grew up with them. I love them. Yeah. And so he's been listening to Green Day, which is super exciting. And he knows some of the deep cuts now. So anyway.
I think he's finding some of the albums that you didn't even get exposed to because we had him and they were being released in like the late aughts, early teens. And it's like, we didn't have time to find new music then.
It was just a fog. I was so tired.
And so I
remember being a young mom.
I mean, and I'm not as big a Green Day fan as you growing up, but you know when the hits come out usually, but I also got away from listening to radio. But like he was scrolling through the albums like on the Apple TV. I was like, I have no idea what any of these albums are. Like from like after 2004, like because that's like when the one that we went and saw them on tour.
Right. American
Idiot came out. And then from like there until now I'm like, I don't know any
30
of these.
years since Dookie was released.
I'm like, I don't know.
30 years.
Yeah.
Oof.
Anyway. I want you to keep talking, but like you said, when he asked us top 20 bands and then give me your top 3, I think I've been waiting my whole life for my kid to ask me that.
I think you're right.
I was so happy. I'm like, this is so hard and I'm so happy. Let's go. And it doesn't have to be perfect list. Like I'm just going to try to think. I'm like, and then I was put on the spot and I'm like, I'm having a hard time of thinking of because there's so many anyway.
Yeah. So the seeing LP everywhere was then I was thinking, oh my goodness, we haven't taken him to like a true concert.
Yeah.
Right. So Child 2, his first concert was Metallica.
Yeah. Yeah. He got to go.
Because he was interested in and Child 1 wasn't that interested. So we went on a ghost tour. Pretty awesome.
In San Francisco. Took
super
Child
cool.
2 to see the Symphony and Metallica in San Francisco. It was epic. He may have fallen asleep a little bit.
Oh, we got great pictures.
I got pictures, cute. But he had proper hearing protection. We were, I think, in the last row almost too, but it was so worth it. Anyway, keep going. I keep interrupting.
No. So that is why. So I was looking at what artists are coming to our area. So I noticed that LP is going to be in our area in November, but I am too old to do standing. I can't do floor tickets anymore.
What do you mean?
Without seats?
But they're not like gonna like. There's not like a mosh pit at that show.
I don't know, man.
You're too old for that, really?
I feel too old to be on the floor.
There's floor tickets available?
Oh yeah. There's lots of floor tickets available.
We went and saw Glenn Hansard there. I think
at the Palace.
Yeah, it was pretty open.
That one where you and I went,
right? Isn't that where we went to the one show?
I have a really bad memory of the places we've been. The only place that I could probably name is the casino in Green Bay. Oh. Because it was in the parking lot, right?
With Elvis?
Pretty much,
With
yeah.
Elvis
like
Costello?
We had to wait outside in the parking lot.
That was Elvis Costello and Alan Toussaint. That was
amazing.
amazing.
And we met
Alan Toussaint
we did.
after the show.
Oh, yeah. Gosh,
We're so fortunate to meet him.
he's
He's such a
amazing.
nice person too, and amazing. What a silky, buttery voice, and he could tickle those keys, right? Oh my god!
Gosh,
Oh, getting goosebumps thinking about him. He was very generous.
very.
Okay, you were looking at concerts.
I was looking at concerts. Yes. And so I noticed that LP was going to be having a concert. And so it's kind of one of those, once you start recognizing and hearing somebody, then you start tuning in.
It's like when you hear a word for the first time and then you hear it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what I've been digging. So I've been listening to it on the way to work, listening to it at work. I've been listening to it while I'm doing dishes, while I'm cleaning, while I'm working, while I'm journaling. So I pretty much know all the words. If anyone hasn't discovered LP yet, look it up. I love the song Golden. It's my fave.
I randomly heard it one night coming home from my parents after hanging out with my parents and my cousin who was visiting. And I was like, what is this? It was one of those times where I didn't like, it was just LP, like a record. And so when I got home, I had to go on the Google machine and go to the current and be like, okay, what did you just play? Like, cause my little info thing is glitching because I don't know what this, not that I'm not good at finding new music. I'm tending to go and look and find like, okay, what have I missed? What did I miss back in the day? Or what am I missing now? And it's hard to find. And so when I do find something or when I hear it and it makes like the hairs on my arms or the back of my neck stand up, I'm like, okay, I gotta push into this. I gotta lean into this hard. And we've been listening on shuffle, on repeat, all like, I don't even know.
There's what, 5 albums?
Yeah, like, and from like 2016 or something.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we not know about people like that? Anyway.
Well, and she's a prolific songwriter and has written songs for lots of different artists that we probably know the songs.
Right. Just didn't know she wrote them.
Just didn't know she wrote them.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by people that can just hear the music like John Batiste or LP, because even as a musician, I can play music, but I can't hear it to create. Does that make sense?
You don't have like perfect pitch.
No.
Is that what you mean?
No. No, I don't hear melodies in my head, where I feel like as musicians that do composition, they can hear the melody. They can hear what the piece sounds like.
You play what is written
versus
writing.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's something that we've come up across where I'm like, hey, just, come play this chord progression. You're like, I don't know how. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to like notate it for you if I want that to happen. We'll work on it. But that's what you came from. You came from playing what's on the sheet music.
And then making it musical.
And then, and working towards that. That's part of the process. Whereas I came from, I'm hearing this, what are the notes? And then I'm going to play those notes the way I hear it or the way I want it to be heard a little bit. So it's just because guitar versus piano, right? Like, and I get that. Anyway.
No, I mean, I always wanted to be able to play by ear, even though I could pretty much play.
I can't play by ear, by the way, very well.
But
I just want to make that clear. I wasn't like, oh, you can't play by ear, Laura. It's like, no, I can't. Your mom can. Your mom has perfect pitch.
Oh, yeah, and she can kind of.
I'm so jealous. Anyway.
Yeah, that was always a fun thing where you just go and play a note on the piano and be like, hey, Mom, what am I playing? E flat.
I'll walk by and I'll be like, I'll play a note and I think I'm being smart and like, I'll pick like F sharp. And she's like, F sharp. I'm like, dang it. Like,
so cool.
So jealous.
When you were young and growing up, did you surround yourself with things that lit you up?
I mean, I had music on a lot. I always would ask for like a stereo for my birthday or Christmas because they were kind of not back to back, but close. So like if I wanted to pool my presents, it's like I could get a big stereo, like a 3-disc changer,
Ooh, that's a big deal.
Well, but
in the day.
It also came with the turntable.
Also a big deal.
So music, I mean, I mentioned this, like, and if you've listened to any of these podcasts, it's music. I read comics as like an adolescent. Like I learned a lot of words from reading comics, actually. I think that's lost on some people that might look down on that or used to. Like now it's like graphic novels and all this, It's got a little bit of a prestige to it maybe in some regards, but I read a lot. I did Lego here and there, like I'm thinking like, 10, 11, 12, 13, then I started learning how to play guitar too. And I really surrounded myself. That was like another way to surround myself in music and at a different wavelength, sound wave.
With music and comics, did you surround yourself with people that were also interested in that?
You know, in music, I have friends to this day that we're into music in similar ways, like playing guitar and not into all of the same music, but some of the same, but like different, and which is good because then we could introduce each other to different types of things, and we still do today, and I cherish that. But to be honest, that's not something I actually realized, but like I didn't have a lot of community as a kid. Yeah. I feel like and that's why I think I look for it so much now, and why I'm really leaning into and appreciating the creative community I'm finding. And it's not just because, and some people are into music and some people aren't. Some people are podcasting and some aren't. It's not, that doesn't have to be the same things I'm into. It's just being around creative people. It's inspiring. You can feel the energy. There's something about the creative process, no matter what the subject matter is, that pulls me in, and I like to witness. That was a whole lot. I talked way too long. You have to like write down your questions before I start so we can remember where we.
Then you can say, and Laura, what about you?
So yeah, Laura. I don't remember the question even.
As a kid, were there things that lit you up?
Okay, so what about you? Like what lit you up as a kid?
Well, music. I mean, obviously, but I'd say music and then collecting things. So music, I remember. So I grew up playing piano since I always say 3, but my grandma Iris taught me, was really my first teacher, and then I took piano lessons all the way through high school and went to college for it. I think some of the times that I remember that really just made me happy and feeling like I was kind of in this flow and I was doing what I was meant to do, if that sounds really weird.
No.
Does that sound weird?
No,
I don't know.
going.
I remember, so my mom also played piano, and so I'd have to practice, but I really love singing. And so sometimes we would just spend an evening, her playing the music and me singing the songs of Broadway shows, or, like Sleepless in Seattle theme song, or, I know that sounds very
are
like.
There words to that?
I actually don't remember right now, but and so it's something where how you're just like time kind of stops and you remember those moments, and those moments as being fulfilling and full of energy. And like I said, it's almost kind of like a time just kind of stopped. And the other thing that I can think of, and it just is cemented in my head, and it's around music again. And kind of going back to that 3-disc CD player, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was maybe it was high school, but it could have been, must have been high school. I would clean my room. There's nothing better than like an organized, clean room. But after I cleaned my room and everything was in its place and everything was dusted and Windexed and whatever had to happen, I would sit in my room. I would have a card table. I'd get a puzzle out. I'd puzzle. And then I would just jam to Weezer, Green Day, Stone Temple Pilots, Alanis Morissette, all those fantastic artists. But that's like another thing where it's just the world kind of stopped and there was something that was just so fulfilling, or it just filled my soul with something that it needed at that moment. And I see them both connected because they're both tied to music. And I think music can be really powerful in that way. Feeding the soul. Like going back to Little Keith, was there a record, like one album that really spoke to you, you connected with, that really had this positive pull for you?
There's probably several. I mean, obviously Metallica's Black Album hit in 91. So I mean, I was, I was pretty young, but like my sister's few years older. So, but it hit hard and it was everywhere. It was on the radio. Like you listen to the radio back then. I had that on tape. That hit hard.
And you felt it like in a positive way?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That crunch, those power chords. Yeah. Because I also grew up listening to classic rock, Led Zeppelin from my mom, and Aerosmith and all these called classic rock now, but hard rock. That also in my teenage years also got exposed to Elvis Costello, and I have a tape of this year's model, and that really hit hard, and subsequent like CDs and stuff. And yeah, I really, Alice in Chains, I used to listen to it was called Tripod because it had a three-legged dog on it, but like I think it was actually called Alice in Chains. I used to listen to that over and over, and all their other stuff too. But yeah, I mean, I have like my favorites, I guess, and like told me like positively. How did you say that? That's what I'm trying to.
Kind of fed your soul, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like Metallica resonated with me so early, and I went back. I got Injustice for All. I got Master of Puppets. I got Ride the Lightning. I got Kill 'Em All, and I just went to school on it and listened to it. And then I started learning guitar, acoustic guitar, and trying to play that stuff on acoustic guitar, and then different things feed my soul in different ways. And so like when our oldest was asking us the other night, our top 20 bands or of all time, and then our top 3. And then even like my top 3 is hard, and picking one is hard because I tend to say it's Metallica and Elvis Costello. And I feel good with that because it is such a juxtaposition, and yet it's not to me, because the way I feel music and the way I enjoy and interpret it, yes, it sounds different, but not all of it does. And both of them cover a pretty wide spectrum. And I know like Elvis Costello is much more known for having like country albums and pop albums and kind of rocking albums and this and that album, and with a 4-string quartet and Burt Bacharach and all, a jazz album, and with his wife Diana Krall, and then an Alan Toussaint with New Orleans jazz. But then you go and you listen to some Metallica, and like there's strings, and it's melodic, and it's soft, and it's a ballad, and I can dive into the nuance of those things. But then also I can let go of that nuance, and I can just be like, I just want to rock. I just want to bop my head or headbang or whatever. And then sometimes I'm like, I just want to be sitting in a room and letting the sound wash over me, and listen for every little echo that was in the room that either artist recorded in or something. So, I mean, I'm sure there's more too that I'm not even thinking about, but like, I don't want to monopolize here. I'm monopolizing.
It's like I shouldn't have asked you the question first. No, you shouldn't have.
So I'm monopolizing, and we can come back to something. But how about you? Obviously, like tell us a little bit. I think I have an idea of someone you're going to mention, but I want to hear like the same for you. Like, what are some of those artists?
I kind of want to. Okay, I'll mention the artists, and then I'll see if you're right. So a couple of the artists that I would say. So my first record was Madonna, but I didn't listen to it that much. So maybe I think the music I listened to more was like the Carpenters. I really love the Carpenters. Simon and Garfunkel. Listen to Simon and Garfunkel quite a bit, I think. And then, I mean, when I got a little older, it was the Weezer and the Green Day and Alanis Morissette and those. But if I was thinking deep down, which bands like really connected to me and kind of spoke to me and lifted me up, I think it would be some of those. It would be the Carpenters. It would be, which I mean, honestly, if you listen to some of their lyrics, it's really sad. There's one song like "I'm Saying Goodbye to Love." It's like, whoa, that's it's really, really dark. But like, we've only just begun, and like they have some. Okay. Right? Karen Carpenter was awesome. So yeah, So I like kind of that like 70s groove music, Bob Dylan.
That's okay.
I'm throwing it out there.
Okay.
What?
Sound like you were
What?
you were lumping the Carpenters and Bob Dylan together.
No. I'm lumping the vibe, the
okay
acoustic kind of vibe.
What about when Dylan went electric?
All right. You got me there.
I thought you were going to go more talk about like Alanis Morissette. And my guess is because when I think of what we're talking about, I'm thinking more of those years, early to mid 90s of young adulthood almost.
And I will say for like young adulthood, like say high school into college, Alanis Morissette, Jewel, Fiona Apple, and the Dixie Chicks. Those were like my woman empowerment, like boom. Yeah.
Okay.
Love the Chicks. Are there, sorry, do you have more to say about music?
I always have more to say about music.
Okay. I just thought I was thinking of something as you're talking through all the different artists that resonate with you growing up. And one thing that I think is an art, perhaps, I'm going to call it an art and a creative practice that I don't know if our kids will necessarily ever understand or know about, the creation of the mixtape.
Yeah.
And so I remember, and I bet a lot of people listening to this do, and if you don't, that's okay. Bear with us. But growing up, my sister and I and my mom, we had a craft sale that we're at once a year. My mom rose mulled, and then my sister and I every year had something that we were doing, whether it was candles or magnets or pine cones were always a must. Fire starters, so we would dip pine cones in the garage, and they would be cinnamon, vanilla, or pine flavored, and they'd have colored pine cones with wax on them, and we'd get the pine cones from the woods. And anyway, it was a lot of fun. And so we would spend our weekends dipping pine cones ready for the craft sale. So we'd have hundreds of these to sell. Anyway, I remember we would be in the garage. It would be about this time of year when we would start, well, probably October. And it would be kind of chilly, but it was great because there were these huge, big stock pots full of wax, the scented wax. And we'd have the radio on and we'd have a tape in the tape deck on the radio, like the boombox thing. And a song would start coming on and, the sound of the DJ. And we'd be like, and one of us would run over and press record on the tape deck so we could get it on our mixtape. And I know you could be a little bit more detailed and planned with your mixtapes, but that's what I remember is sitting in the garage, dipping pine cones for the craft sale that was coming up in a month and making this mixtape as we're creating crafts. And I know that you've made mixtapes because that was one of the first things you gave me was a mixtape.
Really?
I want to find that, actually. Yeah.
I mean, that's something I grew up with, was making tapes for people to like share, like, ooh, you got to check this out. And yeah, I had, so my first like, so recording off of the radio.
Yeah. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah. You just made me remember, my first time I ever did that, I had to have been under 7.
Under 7?
Yeah. And
oh my goodness.
I had a Peter Pan audio tape for the book.
Sure.
It was like bright yellow. And so my mom would record records onto cassettes because you could take the cassette in the car. And so I learned from her, from watching her and seeing what she was doing, was that if you put tape over the end of a cassette, you covered up like these little dimples that it was supposed, like, you'd break these little tabs off so that you couldn't record over something. But like if you got a tape from like a company, like the actual record, they wouldn't have them. So, but if you put Scotch tape over that, you could record over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I had no idea.
So I did that on my Peter Pan tape.
Of course you did. You're like, none of this Peter Pan reading to me stuff. Yeah, I want music. I want to jam.
I recorded Great Whites, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. And it has the most like...
How old were you?
We lived in
6, 7.
I was 5, 6 or so.
Oh,
I was young, and I mean that tape's long gone. I've never seen it since. But it had like the most jazzy blues, rock, and piano to it, and it just like tickled my fancy, and like it came on, and I had to record it. So that's what I just thought of. But yeah, what else were you trying to? What were you going to talk about?
No, I was just talking about the act of creating it. right?
Yeah.
And music. And again, I think it aligns with the things that light you up or you're excited about. You're like, oh, like you said, DJ's coming. Gotta get it. You're right. They always talked over the intro of it. And you're like, no.
Yeah. It was a way to communicate something special. Like, hey, you need to listen to this. I mean, because when it wasn't off the radio, when it was like, I'm recording a CD onto a tape, or, that was, middle school, high school and stuff, but like, or a tape to a tape, like you could pick which song, and then you had to plan because you only had so much length, and then even with CDs, like you only had 66 minutes or 63 minutes for a while, and there's an art to it. How do you use the most you got? And anyway.
Kind of want to find the mixtape you made me.
Was it actually a tape?
It was a tape. It was a cassette tape.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I was late to the technology, I think, a little.
There's also something nostalgic about it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably what I had. And yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with like it was intentional. We were talking about that stuff, and I know we're rambling, but I can think of a few times, one recent, but a couple that stick with me still, of when I heard a sound, like a musical sound, and it stopped me in my tracks, and I stopped whatever it was that I was doing, and I went towards it, and I turned it up or leaned in to hear better. Do you have any of those instances, or do you need a little time to think while I talk about the ones that I thought of?
Well, let me give you one example.
Yeah.
Because it's more recent. One of the examples is LP. Golden is one that it's interesting because it starts and the guitar at the beginning, and then it kind of gets into this dun, 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 dun. It gets into this groove.
It's like Spanish, like almost Spanish guitar, right?
Yeah, at the beginning.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. And the same thing in her song Goodbye. There's like this sorry, please cut that out. That was terrible. So there's a part where in her song Goodbye that has this, I don't know what it is, if it's a synth or what, but it also gets like, it's just this groove. And so I will say I've listened to those two songs over and over and over because of the uniqueness of the vibe of them and the sound. How about you?
LP is the most recent artist that caught my attention so much that I had to figure out what that song was.
Yeah.
And that was One Like You. It was playing on the radio.
Yep. Really good song.
And it's got like distorted something. I don't even know it might be guitar, but I don't know at the beginning. But I didn't even hear the beginning of the song until I got home. But like in the middle of the song on the radio on my way driving home, I heard that song and I was like, what is this? This is great. So that's recent, but I remember two others, and it was us watching the movie Once, the very beginning. It's got Glenn Hansard.
Yeah.
And Marketa Irglova. The beginning is Glenn Hansard busking at night, and he's playing a acoustic version of Say It To Me Now. And it's like the first scene.
He's an amazing artist too.
Yeah. And I got goosebumps, and I was just like, what is this? Like, I'm just like, who is this? I think I went, like, after the movie, I'm like, I gotta Google whoever this is, and been in love ever since. And that was one of those moments later in life that really lit me up and turned me on to a musician and musicians that I hadn't known and I had missed. The one a little after that was we were cooking in the kitchen or something, and we had the TV on. It must have been like over the air or when we had satellite or something. But there was a commercial on. Like we don't watch much with commercials now. We wait and we watch shows, right? Or like something on Showtime or HBO, or there's like just nothing on that we need to watch now. Like we can watch it later or whenever. It's not like a judgment thing or anything. It's just what it is. But this was back in the time of like, oh, commercials on, and it was a trailer for a movie, and it was Everything Must Go with Nick Offerman. I made you watch it. I swear I made you watch that movie. It's where he owns a record store and his daughter, and she's going to college and stuff. And
sorry, the Everything Must Go. That's not the movie title. What's the movie title?
Isn't that? Oh, Hearts Beat Loud. Hearts Beat Loud.
I was like, wait a second. I was like,
So
also really good.
Everything Must Go is one of the tracks that I think that might actually it's the last track on the soundtrack, but there was a clip in the trailer and it's Nick Offerman playing, and it's just this echoey, delayed guitar riff. And I literally like did the like it was like if you could hear my head in my head, it would be like the record scratch, like and I just like looked up and I turned and I just walked over to the TV and I just turned it up as loud as possible. And I mean, it was like I think it's like an indie film, you know, and I mean, I bought it. I bought like the iTunes version of it or whatever, and watched it. And like I bought the soundtrack, and it's Keegan DeWitt is the musician that did, I think, 97% of the soundtrack. It's amazing. And Nick Offerman sings on some of the things, and I was just like, what is this amazing sound? And I know I mean, I know there's more, but there's just something so interesting and fun about little moments like that where LP, like, I can't believe I found it and I'm so happy I did. And then the same with like randomly hearing somebody trying to market their movie and I heard the song, and that's the only reason I turned my head is because I heard the music. And it's just, I don't know, it's interesting to me.
I thought of another one tied to movies. So there's this movie and I have no idea what it is, or I don't even know who's in it. But it was a movie about Ernest Hemingway. And again, I have no idea, but it was like now times, but it was back when he was alive anyway. But there's a song in there that's Michael Franti and Spearhead. But it was one of those things I'm like, oh, I like this because it's got this just really positive, lighthearted, happy,
got a good
groovy.
Yeah.
And so the last year, actually, I've been listening to a lot of his stuff. He's got some really fun videos on iTunes and or Apple Music.
There you go.
iTunes is old. Oh, my word. But he's another person that I really appreciate just his vibe and how he shows up and the positive feel that his music invokes in me. So if I'm ever feeling down or stressed or worried about something, I often will put him on and just sing along. So today for me, it was actually a lot of fun because we were able to talk about things that don't necessarily prevent us from being creative or get in our way, but rather from the positive side of it. Things that help lift us up, help us keep going, help feed our souls, for lack of a better way of saying that. And it was a lot of fun taking a trip down memory lane with you and talking about some of our favorites from growing up and being a little nostalgic about that. Any closing thoughts from you?
It's fun to look back and think about the things that I leaned into creatively and look at some of the new things that helped me lean into being creative and the different mediums that we look to inspire us and to kind of move us along and lift us up. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to be listening to some good music tomorrow on my commute.
There you go. Sounds good. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.